It happened in a quiet village called Luma, where the mornings began with the crowing of roosters and the chatter of children, and the evenings ended with the soft hum of the river running past the farmlands. The village seemed ordinary, yet there were things the villagers never spoke of, allowed things that had quietly shaped their lives for generations. Before we continue, please take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel for more captivating African stories. In this village lived a woman named Sela. She was neither young nor old, her hair streaked with silver, and her hands strong from years of working the fields. People respected her for her wisdom and steady presence, but her family carried stories no one could forget, stories of debts owed to ancestors, promises made long ago, and warnings that had been whispered through generations. One morning, Sela collapsed in her small courtyard. Her neighbors ran to her side, calling her name, shaking her gently, but she did not stir. Obin, the village healer, came running with his satchel of herbs, his hands trembling. He pressed his fingers to her pulse, checked her chest, listened carefully, but her body remained still. He shook his head slowly. "She is gone," he said. The villagers gathered outside her home. Murmurs spread quickly. Children clung to their mothers, sensing something different, something heavy. Among them, Elder Toma, the oldest and most respected in Luma, stepped forward. "We cannot bury her immediately," Elder Toma said. His voice carried across the crowd. "Her family line carries a debt that stretches back generations. The omens must be consulted before she can rest." So, Sela's body was laid inside her home, surrounded by woven mats and protective herbs. The doors were closed, and the villagers returned to their homes. And for the next 7 days, Luma experienced a quiet, the likes of which no one had ever felt. The first day passed strangely. Chickens refused to leave their coops. The wind did not stir the tall grasses. Children stayed close to their mothers, sensing the unusual calm. By the second day, villagers noticed that the birds no longer sang, and even dogs wandered silently. A soft tension seemed to hang over every home. On the third day, whispers spread. "Something is not right," said Nia, a young mother, to her husband Kano. "The river, it feels different. The air feels heavier." Kano nodded, uneasy. "We must trust Elder Toma," he said. "He has guided the village for decades. He knows what to do." By the fourth day, even Elder Toma admitted that something unusual was happening. The village felt suspended, like life itself was holding its breath. Livestock refused to eat, and the crops began to droop, not from drought, but from some unseen pressure. On the fifth day, Elder Toma sent Obin to check on Sela once more. Obin entered the house quietly, his satchel clutched tightly. He inspected her body again, but nothing had changed. Sela remained still, silent, lifeless. That evening, villagers gathered at the central square, speaking in hushed tones. They remembered the old stories of Sela's ancestors, debts owed, promises left incomplete, the warnings carried from the past. On the seventh night, the village was quieter than ever. Families sat together inside, windows closed, doors locked, and then, at the very height of night, a sound echoed through the village. Knock, knock, knock. It was soft at first, barely audible, yet it carried across the silent village. The villagers froze. The sound came from Sela's home. They looked at each other in disbelief. The door had not opened, and no one was outside. "Is that Sela?" whispered Nia, her voice trembling. "Knock, knock, knock." The sound grew louder, more insistent. Obin approached the door cautiously and opened it. And there she stood, Sela, alive, eyes clear, her hair brushed back neatly, standing calmly in the doorway. The villagers gasped. Children hid behind their mothers. Obin's hands shook. Elder Toma blinked, certain he must be imagining what he saw. "I was taken to the court of our ancestors," Sela said softly. "They reminded me of the debts our family carries. I have returned, but only because the village showed respect. The offerings and acknowledgements are what they demanded. Now, the debt is honored, and life can continue. The villagers listened carefully. Sela carried a small woven basket filled with herbs and grains. These offerings are the key, she explained. Place them properly, and everything will return to its natural rhythm. For the next day, villagers went to her home, placing grains, herbs, and small tokens of respect before her. Each family participated, following Sela's instructions. Slowly, life returned to the village. The wind stirred the grasses again. Chickens returned to their coops and began to peck at the ground. The river ran as it always had. Children laughed and played near its banks, and the livestock ate without hesitation. By the evening of the 8th day, Luma felt like itself again. The silence had vanished. No mysterious knocks were heard. No unnatural stillness lingered. The village breathed once more, alive and at peace. Sela smiled at the villagers. Remember, she said gently, respect and acknowledgement keep the balance. Life is precious, and our ancestors only ask that we honor what we owe. The villagers nodded, understanding for the first time the lessons carried through generations. They returned to their homes, hearts lighter, and with a quiet satisfaction that the strange happenings had truly ended. From that day on, the village of Luma continued its life normally. The river flowed, the winds danced, children laughed, and the stories of Sela's return were told, not as a warning, but as a reminder of respect, family, and balance.